Hey everyone, James here from SEO Sherpa. Today I'm jumping into 2025 as a year in search. If you're trying to explain 2025 search with one update, one feature, or one ranking factor, you can't. Because this year didn't just change search, it forced adaptation. And not just for platforms, for agencies, for brands, for how SEO is delivered as a service. At SEO Sherpa, these shifts were so significant that we didn't just tweak processes or add a new offering, we changed the way we work. As search fragmented across AI tools, social platforms, maps, brand-led discovery, and agentic systems, it became clear that traditional SEO models were no longer enough. So we built something new. We formalized search everywhere optimization, we developed its core fundamentals, and we implemented it as a client-facing, multifaceted service designed for how people actually discover brands today. Not just through Google, but through AI answers, through Instagram and TikTok, through maps, through brand recall, through conversations and recommendations. And eventually, we trademarked search everywhere optimization because it stopped being a concept and became a core operating model for modern search. That matters moving forward because 2025 proved something important. Search is no longer about chasing algorithms. It's about aligning brand, content, and visibility with real search behavior, wherever it happens. The news stories this year didn't happen in isolation. They pointed in the same direction. So let's walk through the moments that showed us not just what changed in 2025, but where search is heading next. Let's break down the big updates in search that happened in 2025. Starting with Google launches virtual try-on in search. Google rolled out virtual try-on directly inside search results, allowing users to preview products visually before ever clicking a website. This wasn't a feature for convenience, it was a shift in where decisions happen. Users didn't need to visit a product page to feel confident anymore. Search itself became the showroom. What it meant for SEO in 2025. SEO moved further away from traffic and closer to influence. If your brand didn't show clearly, convincingly, and visually at the decision moment, ranking alone wasn't enough. What it signals for 2026. Expect more pre-click decision layers. Search will increasingly answer, should I choose this, before where should I go? Danny Sullivan stepped down. Danny Sullivan stepped down from his role as Google's public search liaison. This removed one of the last consistent bridges between Google and the SEO community. At the same time, search systems were becoming more automated and less explainable. SEOs could no longer rely on reassurance or clarification. They had to read signals, not statements. What it signals for 2026, less commentary, more inference. SEO becomes about pattern recognition, not official guidance. AI mode goes worldwide. Google rolled AI mode out globally, making AI-generated answers a default experience. AI answers stopped being a test. They became the front door. Being cited, summarized, or referenced became more valuable than ranking first. Visibility shifted from position to presence. What does that mean as we move into 2026? Expect fewer traditional SERPs and more AI-led interfaces. SEO becomes about being the source AI trusts. The United States versus Google LLC. The US government intensified its antitrust case against Google. Why did it matter? Because it exposed how much of the internet still flows through a single gatekeeper. But more importantly, it highlighted that users were already diversifying search behavior on their own. Relying on one platform became riskier than ever. What does that tell us for 2026? Decentralized discovery continues. Search everywhere optimization isn't optional. It's a defensive strategy. Google kills the num100 ranking benchmark. Google removed visibility reporting beyond the top 100 results. Why did it matter? This quietly acknowledged that rankings past page 1 have diminishing relevance. Success metrics shifted away from vanity rankings toward impact metrics like visibility, branded search, and conversions. What it signals for 2026. Expect reporting to focus on influence, not position. SEO KPIs will keep evolving. Election and civic content added to YMOIL. Meanwhile, Google expanded your money or your life protections to include election and civic information. Why it mattered. Trust became a first-class ranking signal. Authority, authorship, and brand credibility mattered even more than before. What it signals for 2026. AI systems and search engines alike will increasingly evaluate who is speaking, not just what is said. Disney accidentally sells black hat SEO packages. And in a shock story of the year, Disney was linked to SEO services that crossed ethical lines. It proved that even massive brands aren't immune to bad SEO decisions, showing that in 2025, shortcuts became riskier in AI-driven environments. What it signals for 2026, Transparency and legitimacy will matter more than ever. AI surfaces expose manipulation quickly. Google introduces speech to retrieval. Google enabled spoken queries to retrieve structured, accurate results. Search became more conversational and more human. What it meant for SEO in 2025. Natural language content performed better than keyword-stuffed pages. So what does it signal for 2026? Optimizing for how people talk will matter more than how they type. Google AI mode becomes agentic. Now this was a moment. Google didn't just improve AI answers. It gave AI the ability to do things. Search could now compare options, follow steps, make recommendations, and guide decisions end to end. This wasn't, here's some information. This was, I'll handle it for you. The second AI starts acting on behalf of users, the entire idea of search changes. You're no longer competing for clicks, you're competing for selection. If AI is choosing which brand to surface, summarize, or act on, then being the most clickable link is irrelevant. This was the moment in 2025 SEO stopped being about traffic and became about influence inside decision-making systems. Brands that were clearly positioned, trusted, and consistently referenced started winning visibility. Brands that relied purely on rankings quietly started disappearing. What it signals for 2026, agentic search isn't a feature, it's the future interface. And SEO in 2026 will be about shaping outcomes, not chasing visits. Google Maps gets smarter. This one flew under the radar for a lot of people. Google Maps became more AI-driven, surfacing smarter recommendations, contextual suggestions, and discovery prompts, not just here's a place, but here's why you might want to go here. Maps stopped being a utility and started behaving like a discovery engine. Users weren't just navigating, they were deciding. Local SEO stopped being about listings and citations alone. Brand presence, reviews, imagery, and relevance started doing the heavy lifting. If your business didn't feel trustworthy or appealing in that moment, you were skipped. What it signals for 2026, local SEO becomes local brand strategy. It's not about being nearby, it's about being chosen. Google Ads brand query filters. This one was subtle, but incredibly telling. Google added clearer brand query segmentation, making it easier to isolate branded demand. Google essentially said the quiet part out loud. Brand demand matters, and it's measurable. Teams started paying closer attention to who was being searched for, not just what. Branded search became a signal of trust, recognition, and authority. And suddenly, brand building and SEO were no longer separate conversations. What it signals for 2026, brands that don't generate demand will struggle to sustain visibility. If people aren't searching for you by name, AI probably isn't recommending you either. Social channels appear in Search Console. This was the confirmation moment. Google added social channels into Search Console reporting. This wasn't experimental, it was intentional. Google acknowledged that visibility doesn't live in one place anymore. Search everywhere optimization stopped being theoretical. It became measurable. Teams could finally see how social visibility connected to search performance. What it signals for 2026, expect deeper cross-platform reporting. SEO will measure presence, not just performance. Google introduces anonymous reviews. This one raised eyebrows. Google introduced anonymous reviews in certain contexts. Trust signals became easier to generate, but harder to evaluate, which made reputation both more important and more fragile. Brands had to care about perception everywhere, not just on their own sites. Reviews, sentiment, and off-site credibility started influencing visibility more consistently. What it signals for 2026, AI won't rely on single trust signals. It will triangulate reputation across platforms, content, mentions, and behavior, which means reputation management becomes part of SEO whether brands like it or not. Google reveals the top searches of 2025. And this is where it all came together. Google released its annual list of top searches, and the searches weren't just transactional, they were emotional, exploratory, human. People weren't searching for products, they were searching for reassurance, understanding, and confidence. Content that resonated outperformed content that simply ranked. The brands that showed empathy, clarity, and relevance won attention. So 2025 didn't kill SEO, it expanded it. Search stopped being a channel, it became a behavior that shows up everywhere. And the future belongs to brands that don't just chase rankings, but show up consistently, recognizably, and trustworthily wherever search happens. With that, we wrap up 2025 and are excited as we move into a 2026 that is focused on search everywhere optimization. As always, I'm James, Head Sherpa, keeping you up to date on everything search everywhere.